This is what should be done by one who is skilled in goodness.
Unmute button. Ajahn, can you press the unmute?
Or I'll just check. I'll get these guys to unmute me. Chris said I'm not unmuted. I'm not unmuted. They can't hear me. Okay. Okay.
Oh, excellent, Ajahn.
Okay. You can see it, huh? Okay. I'm not the computer technician, unfortunately. Okay. This is what should be done by one who is skilled in goodness and who knows the path of peace. Let them be able and upright, straightforward and gentle in speech, humble and not conceited, contented and easily satisfied, unburdened with duties and frugal in their ways, peaceful and calm and wise and skillful, not proud or demanding in nature. Let them not do the slightest thing that the wise would later reprove, wishing in gladness and in safety, may all beings be at ease, whatever living beings there may be, whether they are weak or strong, or meeting none, the great or the mighty, medium, short or small, the seen and the unseen, those living near and far away, those born and to be born, may all beings be at ease. Let none deceive another, or despise any being in any state. Let none through anger or ill will wish harm upon another, even as a mother protects with her life her child, her only child, so with a boundless heart should one cherish all living beings, radiating kindness over the entire world, spreading upwards to the skies and downwards to the depths, outwards and unbounded, free from hatred and ill will, whether standing or walking, seated or lying down, free from drowsiness. One should sustain this recollection. This is said to be the sublime abiding. By not holding to fixed views, the pure-hearted one, having clarity of vision, being freed from all sense desires, is not born again into this world.
Thank you, Ajahn.
No problem at all. Okay, so we'll do the introduction to meditation, Chris, before we start.
That would be excellent.
Okay, so with meditation practice, so all of us have are very, very different in our personalities and very, very different in our karmic experience. You know, when you're looking at thousands of lifetimes behind you, but the last life is going to have the greatest effect on the nature of your personality and your parami, the way you develop your practice and the way you respond to different techniques and the kind of results that you're going to get. So, what works for myself may work for other people to varying degrees. So every single one of us, you just don't use one technique. You use like a handful, at least nothing less than 2 or 3 to get the results that you're looking for. And one of the monks from Nanachat argued the point, because you've got 5 hindrances, 5 main obstacles to meditation, that you really need 5 meditation objects. So this is really on the monk's side, because the monks are supposed to be expert in meditation and supposed to know how to deal with all sorts of different stuff, different emotional states. that the monks, and it's good, you can argue that point very effectively. You've got 5 hindrances, obstacles to meditation, so you should have 5 meditation techniques in order to cope with the stuff that's going to come up over the years. And so, the kind of stuff you're going to go through, it could be 1,001 things. It's not only what you're going to go through in this current life, but which is quite extensive. You look at your full experience from when you were a child with mum and dad, right through to when you're a teenager, associating with one's friends and companions as a young person, and stuff like the whole interconnected boyfriend, girlfriend, married life. You could be gay, alternative person, cross-gender, cross-dresser. So, people, they have different preferences, different dispositions. So all that will come into play. We're not just mainstream run-of-the-mill. We can be very, very, very different mentalities. But only you can really see, the lay teaching fraternity and the monks and nuns can give you tools to work with, meditation tools, but only you will really be able to see what is effective for you in the long term. Unless you've got incredible psychic power, somebody outside of you will not be able to see inside your mind and to see how effective a particular meditation approach will be, and you really need this in order to gauge how effective the practice is. Because if you have time to, because the vast majority of you, if you're not retired, you're going to be working at least part-time, full-time. So you mainly have possibly 30 minutes if you're lucky, and possibly an hour if you can fit it in with a fairly busy lifestyle. So, but 30 minutes is still quite very, very solid. An hour is an absolute luxury, especially if you have family life and you're caring for raising children as well. So it keeps people very, very busy. But the bottom line is that whatever kind of practice that you do, you have to look at the results of what you are doing. You don't have this kind of, you shouldn't have this kind of situation where you just keep doing the same old stuff over and over and over again for years on end. If you try, one of a very solid meditation teacher I knew previously, his mentality was that you use a particular technique for 30 days, and then you should easily and clearly see the result of that. If it's suitable for you, if it's working for you in that 4-week duration. So I would definitely agree with that. But even for myself, even 7 days, it's different. It's different for the monks and nuns because we've been doing this for years on end. I've been in community for 30 years, so I'll see very, very quickly, easily. 7 days would be a reasonable time frame for myself, because you get a meditation technique and you're going to experiment with it and sort of tweak it and adjust it to suit your nature, because some people may think of themselves as a person. I could be a very, very simple person. I could be what's the right word? Have a very sort of simple and cluttered kind of lifestyle, very, very basic. I don't do anything exciting. I don't go anywhere, this and that. But when you start to meditate, then you're going to have like 1,001 different moods and thoughts and feelings coming up in the practice, and so all this raw material which is coming up will be the grist for the mill, which will be the raw material for your insight, wisdom practice. Because if you don't, without emotion, without human emotion, you're not going to learn very much at all, and you can't feel karma. You cannot feel your personal experience without human emotion. You can't relate to karma. You can't relate to your personal karma, your connections with other people, unless you actually feel it emotionally. So your feelings, your moods, the kind of attitudes that you have are going to teach you about yourself. And as one senior Western teacher who came from Thailand, was at Bodhinyana in the, quite a long period of time ago, is now past, he was saying that, as we sit in meditation in the hall, that our mind is like a theatre, and we have all these different actors up on the stage of life, and we're watching the moods, we're watching the thoughts and feelings, and gaining an understanding and insight into one's self nature. And so this is a key principle, is your personal experience, and one needs to be fairly attentive, and you need to understand yourself as a human being. Some people, some of the stuff that comes up, it may be quite unpleasant. You don't want to maybe acknowledge or look at this stuff. It could be very, very heavy stuff. Maybe friction with the parents and all this kind of stuff, and you'd rather push it to one side and not pay attention to it. But essentially, there's no escape with this kind of stuff. That you have to. It needs to be sort of gently addressed and reflected on, within your sort of comfort range, because you're going to have stuff come up in your personality that you might find quite quite amenable. You may be quite receptive to it, pleasant aspects of your personality, but there may be stuff that you don't necessarily want to see or acknowledge or address in any way. Some people who've got maybe difficult childhoods where maybe the father could have been, a friend of mine, father was a drinker, and just would come out with antisocial behaviour within the family. Just the people he was knocking around with in his local community. And so you can get stuff which will come up that you really don't want to look at, but you've got the person's karma that if you have a father, you grow up with a father who's maybe a heavy drinker and abusive, that you have actually done something to be afflicted or to be brought into that situation. There's things that you have to learn to understand in relation with this particular parent. And you might think to yourself, I got my father's, what would you call him? He's basically, he's a troublemaker. He gives the family a bad name, or starts to play up when he's drinking and whatnot. But if you are born into that family unit, it just doesn't happen by chance. It happens for a very, very precise and clear reason, and there's things for you to know and understand in relation with that maybe that unpleasant, difficult parent. You just didn't get unlucky. It doesn't work like that. When you have significant human experiences, young couple came up, his just say his wife. She miscarried miscarried her child, her baby, after 8 weeks. So we did a little ceremony there. But there was one lady. I think she miscarried multiple times. So it must have been at least 5 or 6. And she felt she was karmically blocked. So you can get very, very heavy stuff, but you need to learn and understand what you're going through, because if you don't, it's going to repeat itself over and over and over again. as you move into the future, but it's a matter of how much you can take and how much you can process and how effective you are in addressing these particular personal issues. So, you're looking at skill, you're developing skills in order to work with the stuff that you have coming up. So if you find that even 30 minutes might be too confronting, well, maybe just keep it down to maybe 5 minutes, 10 minutes a day. Try to keep yourself in a comfortable range. If you like to meditate, and that technique I always recommend for people, that one mantra per minute, very, very, very useful and very effective as the days go by. Just one little mantra based on the changeability principle, like thoughts and feelings and moods and consciousness. And it could be absolutely anything. It could be 1,001 things. Is changeable, or is changeable in nature. And that will give you, if you do that only once, you just do the mantra once every 60 seconds, and you do it all, give it roughly, say, 1 to 2 minutes. Keep yourself in a comfortable range with this one. Most people wouldn't go under maybe a minute at a time, but you have this meditation based mind state, and it's just with you all the time. It's with you 18 hours, all your waking hours, and it's very, very useful, because if you want to really go far on this path, really develop on this path, because you've got a lot of stuff you have to deal with in everyday life, and this will help you keep you grounded, and it will move you, it will accelerate your personal development, and you contemplate in between, in that space, that 1 or 2 minute space in between the mantra, you contemplate and come to an understanding of the world both around you and the world inside you. Because not all, people don't always have time. They may have only 5 minutes, 10 minutes a day, and this will accelerate your practice at a very reasonable speed, because you're doing it very, very gently, but you're doing it 18 hours a day, 7 days a week. And you can work, you can be running a company, you can be a lawyer, you can be a computer technician, and you can work at full speed with like full recollection, full memory, and the ability to essentially to think, remember and function at full speed. So it's very, very useful. Okay, so we'll make a start with the meditation. Now let me think what we can do. Okay, what we'll do, just to help get people grounded, we'll do the tummy meditation first. So we'll just do that for 10 minutes, and then we'll do the meditation just focusing around the mouth, which is comfortable. It's fairly sharp, but it's still comfortable. And we'll do the changeability mantra just in a very, very relaxed way, in that second part of the session. So we'll do the user-friendly approach. So we'll just get yourself in a comfortable posture with your back straight, and it's a good idea to put the hands together and at least have the feet touching, or have the feet crossed. It helps sort of physically ground you more effectively. And make sure there's nothing tight around the throat, the wrists, the tummy. And I want you to focus on the feelings in the abdominal area. So as you breathe in and out, you just silently watch all the feelings in the abdominal area, because meditation's a feely practice. You're focusing on feeling and sensation. So focus on all those feelings in the abdominal area, in the tummy area, and we'll do that for the next 10 minutes. So as you focus on the rise and the fall of the abdomen, just try to keep the physical body and as relaxed as possible, and keep oneself emotionally as relaxed as possible. we're going to narrow the focus down a little bit. So I want you to now put your attention on the feelings around the mouth section. So everyone can feel the tongue, the lips, the mouth section itself. There's lots of nerve endings, very, very clear. And just to give it a little bit more oomph, and I've done this particular technique for several years now, and it's very effective to get calm relatively quickly. So we'll do an easy one, user-friendly. Feelings are changeable. So we've got this 2-syllable mantra. So as you silently in the mind, as you're breathing out, feelings, breathing in, breathing out are changeable. Breathing in, breathing out, feelings, breathing in, breathing out are changeable. So you have the mantra, feelings are changeable, 2 syllables. You can do it any way that you like, but this will get you calmer much faster than the breath alone. And virtually no one gets enlightened without going through one of these, say, Dhamma doors, this changeability, emptiness, unsatisfactoriness, along with some of the more heavy-duty kind of practices the forest monks do. But so just do that little mantra. You can do it any way you like, and you focus here on the feelings around the mouth section. And for most people, it's they can track that without difficulty, and we'll do that for the next 20 minutes. And do it in a way which actually would suit you. You can adjust it as you please. So if you find that you're still thinking just a little bit too much, you should stop and try to understand those thoughts or feelings, because the more you understand these moods, these thoughts which come up, then your mind will understand and it will let go, at least to a small degree. You know, this is the contemplation that we need in order to resolve things, to let things go, at least to a small degree. Just ring the bell and bring you guys. There's a signal. All right. I'll just give you guys that 20-30 seconds to get yourself together. Did any of you guys have any questions on the meditation at all? Could be absolutely anything.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah, sure, Gloria.
Yeah, it's not about meditation, it's about reincarnation. It's just like if you do good thing, you will like reincarnate in human realm or higher realm. Is there any way to go backward to the animal realm? Like if I want to reincarnate, be reborn as a kangaroo in Australia, is there any way to do that at all while I'm like practicing well?
Yeah, so I mean, as you know, as you're well aware, that the animal realm. So we have 4 worlds below the human realm. The animal realm is one of them. So, in essence, that if a person, I mean, to be reborn as an animal, you've really got to have the kind of behaviour. I mean, there's a couple of ways you can do it. You could have a very strong personal intention to be, just say as an example, you could have a personal intention or preference to be reborn, maybe even as an eagle or as a kangaroo or some kind of amazing animal that you feel an affinity with. This might be an experience for some people, and if you there's a couple of angles here. If you behave, so like when it comes to the intent, if you focus your mind on that particular principle. So, for example, if you almost every day, if you had that thought, I would love to be reborn as an eagle and to be soaring on say like wind currents in canyons and valleys, which might be an incredibly amazing thing to experience. And if you did that repeatedly, if you did that like every single day, that would be one factor which might bring you to that state. But the thing is that you've also, if a human being keeps the 5 precepts on a regular basis, that will counteract you essentially falling or dropping to a lower state, because to be, as Ajahn Dunn said, to be a true human being, to have the behaviour of a true human being, you need to keep the 5 precepts to the best of your ability. And those people who have no moral behaviour, no moral, say, observances or scruples at all, that the potential will be to drop down. But you've got to be very, very careful because karma is so incredibly complicated. It's not just what you're doing right now in the current life which will take you down the scale, whether it's to the animal realm or the ghost realm, but you've got karma from the past as well. So the past life will have a significant, when it comes to past karma, the last life will have more of an effect than any of the other previous lives. But the current life will have the greatest effect because it's the here and now. But karma, because it's so incredibly complicated. But if you can use the power of your mind, if you focus on that every single day till the day you die, you're going to increase the likelihood of that happening. And you can be reborn maybe as an eagle, say in a favourable, in a favourable location. Say for example, if you were maybe an eagle, you could be reborn as an eagle if you had the supporting karma, if your precepts supported that. It's very hard to define exactly where you would be reborn and what place. You've got to have incredible psychic ability for this kind of thing. But if you had the supporting morality, supporting karma, you may be reborn as an eagle. If it was really, really important to you, be reborn as an eagle in, say, like a temperate climate, compared to being reborn as an eagle in a say like a desert or snow-clad environment that you find in maybe what would be, say, like Canada or Alaska. Where the climate's much more harsh. So These things are very, very difficult to really predict. But if you can use the power of your mind to do that. You can, so for example, if you adopted the behaviour, you might say the behaviour of an eagle, like one of these great eagles you might find in the US or even possibly parts of Central America, the African states, with their massive wingspans and these predatory birds, huge predatory birds. If you develop the skill set, you had a fascination, absolute fascination for like really large birds of prey, and you studied them and you learned about them, and you could actually incorporate the behaviours within your personality to a degree. You're increasing the orientation of that kind of mindset. Because all of you, or some of you may be aware that in the suttas there were people at the time when the Buddha was alive, at the time where the Buddha was located, when he was practicing, where they would do the dog practice, or they would adopt the mannerisms. It sounds a bit unusual, the mannerisms of a cow. The dog practice, the cow practice. They would seem to be two popular items when the Buddha was alive, and it's quite possible you start behaving like an animal. If you adopt the behaviours of a dog, the behaviours of an animal, you go around on all fours and you follow the behaviours, and you drink from a puddle, and you eat scraps of food from the ground, or if it's food which is thrown away. You look at the behaviours of dogs. Puppy dogs and stuff, and you follow and adopt those behaviours, you're actually increasing the potential of being reborn in that state, because you're copying and you're mimicking the behaviour which is in that particular that kind of mind state, that the particular world, that they are born into. But naturally, the karma's quite complicated. So you seal it. your 5 precepts. They've got to support that. So your 5 precepts may need to be quite loose, not tight. Not polished, not perfect. That'll block you. If your seal is good, you will not go to the animal realm. So if you're a person who in general society who's really quite wild. The behaviour is quite wild, drugs and alcohol, very, very promiscuous, things like the behaviour is to snap at people and verbally attack other people and whatnot, and you could be things like the orientation. You just love, you eat very large quantities of meat. You love to eat lots of steaks and sausages and this and that. So you're increasing the potential. So there's a number of facets you can look at, but in essence you're increasing the potential to be reborn in that state. But in reality you really don't. It might be fun to sort of play with these ideas, but you really don't want that, because it's not a very conducive state. You can't practice. You can't practice really practice Dhamma. Like meditation, morality, to any significant degree within the animal realm. The animal realm is one of survival, predatory survival kind of world that they live in. When you see these nature films where you're looking at tigers, lions, and the creatures which move in those worlds. It's a very, very what would you call it? It's a very, very dangerous, and unpredictable life experience. It's really one to be avoided. You can play with these concepts, ideas, but you do not want to drop below the human realm, because you drop to a lower state. You're in a state where you can't really help yourself. Hardly at all, and you can't. You're in a position where you can't assist other people. and you could be stuck in those worlds for a period of time. These worlds, so you can't develop, to any significant degree at all. You could be stuck in those worlds. If you go, the demon realm, the hungry ghosts, the hell realms, you could be stuck there for hundreds of thousands of years, and that state of being is absolutely useless. It's of no value to you at all. It's an obstruction. It's a hindrance, and it could really, it could take ages. It could take, thousands, tens of thousands, 100,000 years before you come up from these lower worlds, and then you're reborn in the human world in a reasonable state, where you've got the mental and physical faculties to practice again. So the last thing you want is to drop below the human world, because it's a state of mind, it's a state of being where you really can't practice Dhamma effectively at all. You're functioning at a very basic survival kind of mentality. You're subject to significant levels of pain and suffering, heat and cold, physical and mental pain. It's really to be avoided. Sometimes it might be interesting to play with these kind of ideas and concepts, but you really don't want that, because it can completely block you and obstruct you for incredibly long periods of time. That was a good one. Did any of you guys have any more challenging questions?
Gita, would you like to unmute yourself?
I was just going to comment on Gloria's question, but Ajahn did make the point, which is that if you want to escape samsara and end suffering, then you do not aspire to a lower rebirth.
Yeah, I mean, some people they might. Yeah, that's true. Exactly right. So
I think it's just because I have this idea that I don't want to be human. Like, I don't really want to be in a human realm for the next life. Is that weird? But yes.
Yeah, you really don't. You do not want to below, even though you may feel that your current life may not be perfect and rosy. You absolutely do not want to drop below the human realm, because as I stated, you're just in a very, very bad state. You may think it might be fun to be maybe an eagle, or maybe it could be a tiger or a lion, or maybe some of these interesting species that we see in nature documentaries. But you're in a very, very you're in a state of being which is of no value to you at all, and you can make a lot of bad karma. You can be a predatory animal where you're constantly killing, beings in that world, in your world, your animal existence. So you could be just killing and killing and killing. So it's creating a lot of bad karma for you, and it could take you even further down the realm of rebirth. So it's the last thing that you want. You've got to aim. You want to be at the human realm, or higher than that. You want to be in a fit state where you can practice Dhamma. I mean, you wouldn't be connected with the group, you wouldn't be practicing possibly on a daily basis, unless you had a very firm connection with Dhamma. So you've got to keep keep the mind state as high as possible, to bring this this cycle of karma and rebirth to an end completely, because it's endless. As the Buddha said, no beginning point can be found to this process of karma and rebirth. Does that make sense, Gloria? I hope so. You should.
Well, thank you, Gloria and Gita and John. I would like to ask that. I've got a question in the chat. Could I read it to you?
Yep, no problem at all. Yep.
Thank you, Ajahn. I would like to ask Ajahn about karma. How do we know that we have more good karma than bad karma?
How do we know?
Yes, how do we know we have more good karma than bad karma?
All right, you look at your life experience. So karma, when you look at, you're looking at two general terms. What would you say? Say two ends of the spectrum. If you look at the scales, you have good karma, you have bad karma. If you look at the quality of your life, and you look at your life experience, you need to ask yourself, my experience as a human being, is it reasonably pleasant, reasonably favourable? Is my happiness, in general terms, is my happiness and much greater than my suffering as a human being on the face of this planet? So karma is incredibly complicated. We have thousands and thousands of experiences locked up in one's consciousness. But the bottom line is, when your personal experience, if you have more pleasant experiences, more favourable experiences, that means that your karma is your good karma or your wholesome karma is dominant, because that same principle, you're looking at the scales. If the good karma is is superior or dominant or more significant, you're going to see that reflected in your experience as a human being. So human beings can have pleasant experiences in dozens and dozens of different ways, from very simple, very basic, to very, very exalted, maybe religious experiences, the full range. But that same principle again, if you feel as a human being that your life is largely, there's largely more pleasant than painful, that means that your good karma, your wholesome karma, is a more dominant principle, is a more significant principle in this the current life that we live.
Thank you, Ajahn.
No worries.
Ajahn, there is a little bit more to the question here. Could I read that as well?
Yeah, sure.
For example, how do we view a very powerful and rich person in the world who owns, for example, a technology company, but he or she has never crossed the path of Buddhism?
You want to make an assessment of that particular individual?
I presume that is what's being asked for, yes.
All right, so when we look, so you've got a bright, capable person who's the leader of the director of maybe a very, very high-ranking tech company in the US or any other part of the world, usually America or Europe, Australia, Britain. So you're looking at different. It's incredibly complicated, but the bottom line is, if a person, there are qualities and there are qualities and characteristics and parami in that person which leads them to the technology sector, the IT sector. They've got intellectual qualities. They've got a feeling for that particular area of expertise. So there could be multiple factors which the characteristics, like Elon Musk, or let's see, any of the significant people that you would be aware of. But that particular state, being the company director or the CEO, there could be a dozen qualities you can see in that person which make up that persona. So not just one, not just two, there could be a dozen qualities in that person which bring Elon Musk as the director of the Tesla corporation or any significant person who is the pioneer or leader within this particular fraternity. But it doesn't mean. But you're looking at several aspects in one area, and then we look at another area where he could be a pure, say like a pure atheist, for choice of better words. He has absolutely no real religious, cultural belief system. He's not interested in religion, not interested in maybe advanced culture. Say call it religion, advanced culture on any level. God, come to an understanding of God and the universe, and it could be shamanic rituals, could be tantra, could be mysticism. That person could be incredibly intelligent, very well, very capable, very bright, capable in particular areas. But when it comes to religion, say religion, spirituality, they don't have any real development, or they're poorly developed. So you're looking at different areas and capabilities, because human beings are very, very complex. Karma is very complex, but the karma, it shapes your mind and your physical body. So whatever qualities that you see in that particular individual, they've developed that skill set, they've developed those qualities previously, because the qualities that you have as a human being, they just do not come out of nowhere. You've developed them previously. They just don't, you just don't get lucky. You don't, it's like a brilliant child. You just don't get lucky with this kind of thing. You've developed the skill set. You can be a protege. You can be 7, 8, 10, 12 years of age, be a child protege, maybe with piano, within the musical sector. But you developed those skills previously. Having a mastery of mnemonics or could be languages. You could be, you could learn. I've met people 6, 7 languages. They can chit chat without difficulty. But you've developed the skill set previously. It just doesn't come out of thin air. So people have different skills, abilities, and aptitudes in different areas, because human beings, they're not simplistic. They're very, very complicated. Karma is very, very complicated. You're looking at thousands of lifetimes. You're looking at thousands of skills and abilities. So the dominant skills and abilities that you see, they are the ones which have been honed and developed, and they are the ones which are, say, superior or dominant in the personality as you see that person at that time. Does that make sense?
Yes, I think it does, Ajahn, because I can see the person nodding their heads.
I hope so, Chris. I don't know what Gita thinks. Gita might have a different perspective on this.
Anybody else like to comment on this or ask another question, or either in the chat or to unmute and ask a question?
Shanti, a question in the chat. Oh, sorry.
Did Kimberly? Do you want to?
Oh yes, we have a question in the chat here. We do. Thank you very much. Thank you, Kimberly. Good evening, Ajahn. I have a question. When I meditate, I try to observe the breath, but end up controlling my breath. When I relax myself, my mind ended up wandering off. How can I better balance this?
Let's see. What would I do? I think one. Let's see now. What I tend to do. All right. So if I use too much energy, it's like the Buddha had a simile. He called it the simile of the lute, where you can't be too tight and you can't be too loose. So you don't use too much force and you don't be too slack with the quality of your attention. So even people who've got incredible samadhi, who've got the jhanas, the level of attention, I've mentioned this before, the level of attention and mental energy that it takes to get you into the 4th jhana, it's absolutely nothing. It's if I use the simile, it's like if you put your attention on the tip of your finger, that's the level of mental energy it takes for you, if you have the capability, is to get into incredibly profound samadhi. The thing which stops you is your thoughts and feelings. So your thoughts are driven by emotion. If you're emotionally reasonably stable, reasonably cool, you'll be able to settle down much more easily. People who have very, very strong feelings, what would you call it, and strong views and opinions, it comes from emotion. So, which is okay. I mean, we're all human beings. We all have the feelings as we move in this world of ours. But if you're emotionally hot, very, very, very strong emotion, you're going to find it difficult to settle down. And this is where your insight practice comes into being. So you've got the simile of the lute that you can easily check on Access to Insight with Ajahn Appicchato, and just read that through. But a principle, let's see another principle I could add. So once you find the level of energy and attention, or say a level of energy and attention you need to place on the breath. If you place your attention on the breath and you know the breath is there, that's all it takes. That's all you need. But the thing which stops the vast majority of people is your thinking process. Your thinking process is driven by emotion. This is the energy which drives thoughts and views and ideas. So what you do is you meditate you get the balance, enough mental energy to know that the breath is there. That's all it takes. That's all you need. But if you still can't sustain attention, or you get physically tense with too much force, you need to. This is the example. This is when you know that you're on track and it's working for you. I would say immediately that the vipassana, the insight, the understanding, it's not strong enough. You need to have your insight. You've got your samadhi is here. You need your insight to be at the same level or slightly stronger. And it is proof within oneself, if you cannot get peaceful very, very easily or peaceful at all, it means that your insight practice is not firm enough, it's not strong enough, it's not deep enough. I see it within myself over and over and over again. It's not difficult for me to get peaceful. I can get a reasonable state within 5 minutes. But it's because this is a little trick I do, and it works quite well. You meditate on the breath, or you do your walking meditation, or you do your mantra, maybe a anicca principle. It could be feelings or consciousness perception. It can be 1,001 things is changeable. This will get you calm much faster than almost anything else I've seen, in a very comfortable manner. But every couple of minutes or every 5 minutes, you go to the insight practice. You start, you start to develop an understanding of what you're going through, what you think, what you feel, the world around you, what you've seen on the news. So, as soon as something significant comes up, so you even for several minutes, even for 2 or 3 minutes, you could be watching the breath in a comfortable manner. The breath is there from start to finish. And then as soon as something significant comes up, then you switch to insight. If I start rabbiting on, say if I start rabbiting on about some incredible aspect of Dhamma or some incredible philosophical inquiry, I need to stop right there. I'm being blocked. I'm starting to think about this thing, and I'm starting to fantasize about this incredible philosophical idea that I've come up with. And you need to look at that and examine that and understand that, where it's coming from and why and where, For what reason? Understand everything about it. Because when you understand everything about it to the best of your ability, then your mind will understand what it's about, what's happening, and then it will relax, and it will let go and let go. So you will drop into a more deeper state of peacefulness. So you need to see this. It's very easy for me to say these things, but you need to see this for yourself. And you keep going back and forth. This is the way I do things. I don't mess around sitting and walking for 30 minutes, an hour, 2 hours. I don't waste my time doing stuff like that. Within minutes, I walk meditation, and if I'm not peaceful within 3 to 5 minutes, reasonably peaceful, nothing incredible, but reasonably acceptable, peaceful state of mind. If I don't see that within 3 to 5 minutes, I go straight to contemplation, and you see, and the mind, it responds very, very quickly, and the mind settles down. But it's that same principle. You need to see that clearly in order to believe it. Seeing is believing, as they say. But that's the fast way. That's what I do, and I do it all the time. Is any other questions at all?
Yes, are there any other questions? Please, if you'd like to unmute, you'd be most welcome to.
Hello, Ajahn. Thank you for the meditation.
No problem at all, Shamila.
I would like some clarification on the principle of, you were talking today about the anicca principle and how it is helpful to do it like through the day, sort of 18 hours a day, you were saying. So I was just wondering, how does one actually keep that sort of reflection to the day, unless the mindfulness is really very strong?
Your mindfulness doesn't have to be that strong. So if you can remember, I've done this previously. It's different for me because I've been living in the monastery for a long period of time, and I'm in a protected environment. So you guys you may be working part-time, full-time, busy lives, children, responsibilities, duties, and whatnot. So, but the bottom line is, I can do this. I can do this mantra, this changeability mantra, anicca mantra, once I can maintain that state once every 5 minutes. I do that mantra once every 5 minutes. But I'm doing it all my waking hours. So when I'm at the top of the line, Ajahn Brahmali told me this morning he's heading off to Europe, and I didn't hear anything about it. So he just flew the coop for 3.5 weeks, which is quite okay. So I'm at the top of the line by myself. Ajahn Brahm doesn't come back for a little while. But it's no problem for me. I can deal with most stuff without great difficulty. But the same, so in the morning, so if I'm at the top of the line, I do that mantra principle once every minute or a little bit longer, and then I do that on those days when I'm at the top of the line and I'm on my own and I'm watching over the young monks, I'm looking after the lay community, I've got other stuff. I have to be sharp, I have to be on the ball. I can't make mistakes. I can't forget key stuff, important stuff. So I do my one mantra per minute when I'm at the top of the line. When Ajahn Brahm's out, and then I can maintain that samadhi state without difficulty at all. And I can feel it. It's in the back of my mind. It's there all the time. 18 hours a day, every day, 7 days a week. And there's enough samadhi there to contemplate. You may think it's nonsense. You may think, it's rubbish, and you can't. How can you possibly develop any wisdom or insight? But I know it for a fact. I only have to do this once I can maintain that state, doing it once every 5 minutes. But I need to keep it going for all my waking hours, 18 hours a day. So I know this for a fact, because I've been doing this for several years. So you guys should easily see a result if you do this as well. But I wouldn't, even every couple of minutes for you guys who are much, whose lives are more complicated than my own. But just test it out. Give it a spin, and even if you forget completely, even if you forget for 10 or 15 minutes, just keep it rolling again. Just keep it going. You'll get very, very good at this, and you will be able to do this. Even if every 1 minute is too much, it's too much. Maybe every minute and a half, once every minute and a half to 2 minutes is your comfortable range. But you will be able to get this within 10 seconds. You'll become an expert at it. It becomes a skill. You will be able to get this within 10 seconds, either way, of that 1.5 to 2 minute duration. So it's quite an interesting little practice, but it's not to be underestimated. Did that answer your question there, Shamila?
Yes, Ajahn. Yes.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
Wonderful.
Thank you, Shamini. Is there anyone else who would like to ask a question? Well, Ajahn, would you like to leave us with a blessing this evening?
Yep, no problem at all. Chris. Well, should I make it a long one or a short one? What do you think?
Oh, a long one would be lovely.
Okay. Let me think. Mahakaruniko nato hitaya sabapanina poreto wa parami saba pato sambodhimotama etena sajawaji hotu te jayamangalang jayanto bodhiyamule sakayanam nandiwadeno evam tuvam vijaya hijaya sujaya mangala aparajita palanke sise patavi pokare abhiseke sababodhana Gapato pamoda tisunakatam sumangala supapatam suhutita sukano sumuhutu jasuyitam brahmachari supadakina kaya kamam vachakam padakina manokamam panidite padakina nikatowana labantate Padakine. Lovely to spend time with you guys.
And lovely to spend time with you too, Ajahn. Thank you.
Okay, you guys have a great evening, and we'll catch up with you later.